Welcome to October.
Woo!
It's spooky month, and we featured several different things over the last year or so about spooky stuff. Go check out our Spooky Tunes countdown. Welcome to Crossing Kin.
I'm Kristen.
I'm Randy, and we're back in the garage.
Yay!
October means it's cool enough to be back in the Crossing Kin garage with all of our junk. Anyway, one man's jokes, another man's jewelry, right?
Yes, sir. Today we are returning to our beloved series here at Cross and Kin. Let's recast it, the show where we take an older movie and give it a brand spanking new cast. Now, as ever, let's make something very clear. We are not actually asking for a remake of these movies. See our opinions of the Disney live action remake, either above mine or Dad's head, to see how we kind of feel about remakes in general.
And as always, as we go through our list, you be thinking about who you might put in some of these titular roles and give us comments.
Yeah.
Perhaps there's somebody, one of your favorite actors or actresses that we've missed.
Today's movie is falling right in line with our spooky month. It is Arsenic and Old Lace.
And it is a family tradition at Crossin' Kin on Halloween evening to watch two things. It's Great Pumpkin Charlie Brown, Arsenic and Old Lace. We don't do that. We can't have Halloween. Nobody gets candy.
But this movie is actually based on a play. I cannot remember who the author is, but it is based on a play. And I'll be honest, this is a dark comedy.
It is a very dark comedy, and it's one that Cary Grant, who is so sophisticated and so good at what he does, but he's also great at physical comedy. This is one of those that he gets to highlight his physicality and his comedic chops as he goes through this film. He initially it wasn't one of his favorite films, but as it became more and more embraced by the public, he came around to being really one of his better films, in our opinion.
Yeah, that's something we're going to talk about as we go along. We've kind of got a larger cast than we normally do for Recast It. So today we're doing the characters of Mortimer, Elaine, Jonathan, Dr. Einstein, Aunt Abby, Aunt Martha, and Teddy. But for now, let's start at the top and work our way down with Let's Recast It.
Arsenic and Old Lace.
We're starting off with Mortimer, originally played by Cary Grant, and as Dad said, he was a little bit embarrassed of this film at first because he felt that he went way too broad with it. Something I feel that the classically trained Cary Grant didn't understand is this is the one movie where too broad is not enough.
Although he was classically trained, he also spent some time at the circus.
Mhm.
Yeah, before he was an actor,
When he was still Archie Leach.
when he was still Archie Leach, he ran away from home basically and joined the circus.
The more you know.
The more you know. And we have to tell you, if you've never seen this film and you love Cary Grant like we do here at Crossing Kin, you need to see this. This is one of, I would say, his top 10 films.
I would agree. I
Yeah,
would agree with that. And one of these days we might do a Cary Grant top 10. Go ahead and start putting options for that down in the comments.
that's right.
But do you want to say yours
Sure,
first?
absolutely. And now Mortimer is a
Critic.
critic. He's a playwright critic in New York,
Brooklyn.
Brooklyn specifically. And he is a very well-known critic to have been written several books about being how he
A
loves
bachelor.
being a
The
bachelor.
Bachelor's Bible. That's
The
what it's called.
bachelor's life and everything. Well, he winds up falling in love with his next door neighbor's
A preacher's
preacher's daughter. Okay, and there's a cemetery that separates their houses. This really does set
Creepy.
the whole thing. Kristen said it right. It is a very dark comedy. It's so stinking funny though. My Mortimer is Jonathan Groff.
Best known to my generation anyway as playing King George in Hamilton and the voice of Kristoff in the Frozen films.
I think I'd never seen him before in real life, and when King George came on the stage at Hamilton, you were just, he stole the show. He absolutely stole the show. And it was one of those roles that defined who he is as a character, but I think you could also see him playing it so well tongue in cheek
Mhm.
that this kind of dark comedy would be a it'd be a just a right in his wheelhouse.
I know from a couple of things because I'd seen him in Glee a couple of episodes of Glee. He had a part, which duh, Jonathan Groff has an amazing singing voice, so duh, he was in Glee. But some of the physical comedy, like the faces he has to pull, he could pull Cary Grant's
Gotcha.
faces. But I think I have somebody who could maybe pull the faces better.
Okay.
My pick is Nicholas Holt. He played Beast in the prequel X-Men movies, in the James McAvoy X-Men movies. He also played Tolkien in the biopic of Tolkien from a
Right.
couple of years ago.
Right.
Nicholas Holt strikes me he as one of these actors who can play serious and then go super hilarious really quick. And he does that a lot in the X-Men movies that he's
Okay.
in.
Okay.
He's British, so he's got a little bit of tie to Cary Grant there. But I've heard his American accent a lot, so he can do that. I feel like he would just take the zany of this whole thing and I think he would bat 1,000 with this role.
Although we've never seen him in a strictly comedic role,
I've seen
Kristen.
clips of him in more comedic roles,
Oh,
and
gotcha.
he's got a decent comedic timing.
Okay.
And if you put him around some of the other actresses that I've got in these other roles, because let's be honest, Mortimer is not necessarily the one that is pulling a lot of the comedy. He's the one reacting to the
That is
comedy.
true.
Every last bit of his comedy comes from just sheer flabbergasted reactions.
Yeah.
So,
Very
and I think
reaction.
Nicholas Holt could pull the flabbergasted reaction faces
Not
very
bad.
well.
Like mine better, but not
Of
bad.
course you do. All right, up next we have Elaine, originally played by Priscilla Lane. Bless her heart, this is not much of a character. Because after like the first 10 minutes, she disappears for a bit, and then she comes back to be the damsel. That's the best way I can describe her.
She's a supporting character. Let's face it, Mortimer, the aunties, are the prime characters,
And then a couple of the other
and then a
characters that
couple
get
of yeah,
introduced.
we'll talk about
Elaine
them in
is
a minute.
probably the smallest role, but because she is the female lead, she appears on all the posters. That's why she's next.
And she should, because every time this actress hits the screen, you want to hear what she has to say. And she
Yeah.
does the damsel in distress bit very, very, very well. She appeared in a lot of things. So I was doing some research into her one day when we were watching Arsenic and Old Lace, and she did a lot, especially war type movies,
Mhm.
and very, very gifted actress. And her comedic timing is
That's
very
true.
good in this film. I've never seen her in anything other than just pretty heavy dramas, but
Mhm.
this her comedic chops are on display, and her timing is very good.
And one more thing I will say, I like that she's not just sitting back and waiting for the whole movie. Like,
Right,
she's an active agent. Like, she actively goes down in the basement. She's
right.
actively trying to get Mortimer, let's go on our honeymoon. Late, I have to deal with all this. Mortimer, let's go. Fine, I'm going to go down in the basement and see what's wrong with you.
Right, right. And then in the end, just the height difference between Cary
Yes,
Grant and
she's small.
that plays into the comedy
She's
of the
just a
whole
small
thing.
lead.
The genius behind the directors and producers of this film
And I
is
think she's
just
wearing flats for part of the film, too.
playing off of all of the comedic differences in people,
Mhm.
body sizes, body shapes, body faces. Um, into that more often. My
Plain.
Elaine is Lily Collins.
She was in The Blind Side as Sandra Bullock's daughter, Collins, and she was also in the Tolkien biopic as Mrs. Tolkien.
Yeah, she's an up and coming actress that I really want to see more from
She's
her.
also Phil Collins' daughter.
Exactly.
And I think currently she's starring on Emily in Paris for Netflix.
Yeah. So she's building towards what could really probably be a very iconic career.
Mhm.
She just think I recast it like this with something with just a little twinge of some comedic thing would be a good breakthrough for her.
I like that. I
Okay.
like it. Not bad. I think mine's better though. So my Elaine is Margot Robbie, the lady who played Harley Quinn and Barbie. I think I have seen Suicide Squad. Yes, the Marvel girl, I am ashamed to admit. I have seen Suicide Squad, the first one. And she is actually really, really funny as Harley. And then I've not seen Barbie. Don't want to see Barbie. But I've seen a lot of the press stuff that she did for Barbie, and she is so sweet and so genuine. I fully believe she would be the person, come on, dear, let's go on our honeymoon. Oh, Mortimer. Like, I think she would be able to pull this role off, and she would probably bring a little bit more of like the agency to
Right.
Elaine that sometimes is lacking. And also she and Nicholas Holt, they're around the same age. I think Margot Robbie would be a excellent
Immediate
Elaine.
star power in a supporting role. I think
Mm,
that's a good casting.
thank you. All right, up next we have Jonathan, originally played by Raymond Massey. Oh, Jonathan's scary.
They did try, in fact, try to get Bela Lugosi.
Boris
Boris
Karloff.
Karloff. They
Boris
did
Karloff.
in try. They just scheduling and everything. There's the running joke that the plastic surgery he has had has turned him into a
Boris
Boris
Karloff
Karloff looking
look-alike.
right kind of creature, and he is the big bad in this film. He's the big bad who is such a gifted straight man.
Yes.
All of this chaos is going around him, and he still continues to focus on what his dastardly deed is going to be, whatever it might be at the time. Incredible actor, incredible actor. He did a
Oh,
great
he
job.
did fabulous. He may have also played Jonathan in the stage version at one
I don't
point.
know.
I feel like I remember reading that. If I'm wrong, please correct me in the comments. All right, Daddy, who is your dastardly villain?
Bill Skarsgård. Yeah, or you could take any of the Skarsgård brothers.
I mean, yeah.
You could just if
Anybody with a Skarsgård
anybody
name
with a
could play
Skarsgård name
Jonathan
could
at this
play
point.
Jonathan because they're good bad guys. Bill most recently has been in
Bill Skarsgård is the guy that's playing Pennywise. He's it.
Enough Said.
Yeah.
Those of you with a clown phobia, we're very, very sorry. See the 800 number for counseling.
I mean, you're not wrong. And this actor, like he's honestly said that he's really good at playing creeps. So, I mean, it is not a bad
Well,
cast.
one thing else that you have to remember with Jonathan, he really does have to have a physical dimension about him.
Mhm.
Needs to be a tall,
Mhm.
lanky, Frankenstein-looking type creature.
I like it. I do. I really do.
Thank you.
Um my Jonathan is Sam Witwer. You know him from Once Upon a Time. He played Mr. Hyde in
Okay.
season 5.
All right.
He is very tall. He's got a intimidating presence. That's
Mhm.
probably the best way I can phrase it. Star Wars nerds know him very, very well as the voice of Darth Maul in Clone Wars and Rebels,
Very
as
cool.
well as the actor who plays Galen Malik, aka Starkiller, in the Force Unleashed video games. He did all the motion capture for that. And is just very beloved in the Star Wars community. We started making this list around Star Wars month, so Sam Witwer was on my brain anyway. But yeah, he's very tall. He knows how to do insane stuff with his voice, as you know from his turn as Darth
Yeah.
Maul. His natural speaking voice, though, actually sounds a lot like Jonathan's.
Wow. Cool.
To me anyway. I might just be mental, but to me he sounds a lot like Jonathan. Um, I know he can play scary because he freaking played Mr. Hyde. And again, he's Darth Maul. What more needs to be said?
Other than we just want to reiterate, Darth Maul in the Star Wars movies is the most underused character
Yes.
ever in the
Yes.
Star Wars universe, other than Hondo.
Yeah. Anyway. So yeah, I think Sam Witwer, with his experience as both Maul and Mr. Hyde, could bring those characters together in a way and really be good and terrifying. But he is also hilarious. Again, I've watched so many interviews with Sam Witwer, and he is a laugh and a half to be around. So I feel like he would play it a great straight man, but he would be able to do some of the more comedic lines that Jonathan has to perfection.
Good casting, both,
Yeah.
both. Like mine better.
You always do that. It's your cast. Up next, we have Aunt Abby, originally played by Josephine Hull. Abby is she probably gets the more screen time of the two aunties,
Mhm.
and Josephine Hull, she originated her role of Abby on the stage and just came over for this movie.
That's very, very convenient. Lines already memorized.
Staging, the characterization, like the director didn't have to do anything for her. He's just like, do your thing.
And then coaching with some of the other actors and actresses.
Yeah,
You
yeah.
know,
And
that's brilliant.
Josephine Hall, like I love the bit with the window seat where she's like, "Who's that? You don't think I would?" Yes, I did. But you don't think I'd stoop to telling a fib, mother? Like she's so sacredly sweet. Like you don't believe she's this dastardly. I mean, we're trying very hard not to be spoilery. Like if you can't tell, we're not going into great detail about the plot itself because you would not believe what these two aunties are getting up to in their house. Go and watch the movie. It is not what you would be thinking.
You got to see this film.
See
You got to
this?
see this film.
All right, Daddy, who's your Aunt Abby?
My Aunt Abby is someone I absolutely fell in love with because I fell in love with the movie she was in. Never had heard of her, never had seen her. I understand she's a Broadway person, uh, but she was in my one of my favorite all-time films, The Greatest Showman, and this is Kiala Settle.
Settle.
Kiala Settle. She played the bearded woman in The Greatest Showman,
She was
and
also in the John Stamos basketball show. I cannot remember what it was called, but she was the mom of one
Long
of the girl.
Shots.
Long Shots, yes,
Okay,
Long Shots.
didn't last long on Disney Plus.
She was
Decent
in
show,
yeah, she was the mom of one of the girls
right?
on that show,
Yeah,
and
and did a good job.
I was thrilled to see her because I'm like
Right,
she's
right.
one of those actresses that anytime she comes on screen and we recognize her, we're like we're very happy she's there because
Yeah,
the movie or show just got 5 times better,
right,
if not 10.
right. I think she would pull off Aunt Abby in a very, very good way, just because of the acting chops we saw in Greatest Showman. She had
Hmm.
a very wide range of from euphoria
Hmm.
to exacerbation. It's just
Melancholy, yeah.
absolutely. It's just her dynamic range. And we'd have to figure out a way of putting a song in for her. We'll
Just
write
another
one.
one. Just well, no, they sing in the
Oh,
cellar. They sing
that's
the
right.
hymns.
There it is,
There
a
you go,
happy Dale
Dale,
far,
far,
far
far
away.
away.
Okay,
So there you go. We don't even have to
there
read a
we
song.
go.
We
We don't
just
have
let her
to
sing Happy Dale
just
for a little
let
bit
her sing
longer.
it. Yeah, yeah. Kiala Settle.
That's
We love you, sweet lady.
we
If you
love you
happen to
so
tune in
much.
to us, The Greatest Showman, one of the top 5 films of all time.
We love it. All right. My you actually, I'll be honest, you stole mine originally. I was thinking about Kiala, but I couldn't figure of somebody to play her sister. So
Gotcha.
once you took her, I was like, okay, I've got to move on. I picked Helena Bonham Carter.
Oh, that's good. Especially in this film.
The
Are we
lady
going to
is
get
an
Tim Burton to direct?
no. We're not letting Tim Burton anywhere near this film. She
Casting.
knows how to do comedy. She knows how to be sweet. She was Mrs. Lovett, and Abby is a less psychotic Mrs. Lovett. She's an actually sweet Mrs. Lovett.
Mrs. Lovett from.
Sweeney Todd, the Demon Barber of Fleet
Okay,
Street.
yeah.
Anybody who's seen my Broadway video, link up here. I like Sweeney Todd. It's a Sondheim production, and Helena Bonham Carter was in it. I don't know if she was the best cast for Mrs. Lovett. Helena Bonham Carter, and especially Enola Holmes. She has more
Yes.
lately. Enola Holmes, Ocean's 8. She has proven that she is more than the Tim Burton lady.
Free.
She's more than those roles. So I think that this would let her go back to those roots without it feeling typecast because this is different from anything Tim Burton cast her in because this is a genuinely sweet person who's just taking her sweetness in the wrong direction.
That I think I like yours better than mine. Well, okay.
All right, up next we have Aunt Martha, originally played by Jean Adair. Again, she was originally from the stage, and she and Josephine had the best chemistry.
Oh, incredible chemistry. It was they made it very, very believable that they were sisters.
Mm-hmm.
Very believable. And
Mm-hmm.
and as you're watching, it made it very, very believable in what they do.
Yeah. Yeah, like
Partners in
you
crime.
can kind of see their logic, but at the same time you're like, sweeties, there. No, sweeties, no. All
But
right, Daddy, who is your Aunt Martha?
my Aunt Martha is Julie Waters. I know her best from Mamma Mia, correct?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
As
and
well as the
she's
Harry Potter
as well
films,
as the
because she
Harry
has
Potter
seen
film.
all of them.
Who did she play in Harry
Mama
Potter?
Weasley.
Okay,
Molly.
that's it, Molly Weasley. That's why I think she would make a good Aunt Abby.
Martha.
Martha, I'm sorry.
You're good.
Because it's not too far a stretch from Miss Weasley.
Hmm.
Strange but loving.
Mhm.
I think she and Kiala would have a good dynamic as
I do
well,
too.
playing off of each other.
And she can sing, so she'd be able to take care of Happy Dale.
All right, that's awesome. So mine is Julie Waters. Mamma Mia. Sorry, here she goes again.
Oh goodness. Okay.
My.
My Aunt Martha is Emma Thompson.
Ooh,
Uh,
another good one.
thank
Can you
you.
imagine her and Helena Bonham Carter?
Well,
Wow,
here's what's yes,
I
that and that
love that.
that was
I
my
love that.
logic. I was thinking about their dynamic, but also I've got the both actresses were in Harry Potter
Mhm.
because Emma Thompson was Trelawney. Both actresses have also played Mrs. Lovett.
Oh, okay.
Emma Thompson, I talked about this again in my Broadway video that I did last month. That she was in a concert version of Sweeney Todd, and she was delightful as Mrs. Lovett.
As she's
Um,
been in anything we've seen. Yeah.
I have yet to find something with Emma Thompson in it where I don't adore her. I loved her in Saving Mr. Banks. I loved her in all of the Harry Potter films she was a part of. I love Emma Thompson. She is one of my favorite actresses.
She is one of those actresses, if you go to her IMDb page, you're shocked at how many things that she's been in
Mm-hmm.
that you have seen.
Mm-hmm. And even her voice work. And
Absolutely.
here's another thing. She would also be able to handle Happy Dale because she is a fabulous
Fabulous
singer.
singer. Yep.
Voiced Mrs. Potts in the Disney remake
Hmm.
of Beauty and the Beast. So I think she would be great with Aunt Martha. Again, Aunt Martha is the smaller of the two auntie
Right.
roles, but I feel like she'd take the little bit that she's given and just make it bigger.
Right. Right. Very good.
I think Emma would be fabulous.
I think you've knocked it out of the park with the ant. I got everything else done.
Shush. Okay, Dr. Einstein, originally played by Peter Lorre. Laurie.
Yes,
Sorry,
that's okay.
excuse me. Originally,
Yes, doctor. Sorry.
uh, was he German? Was he actually German, or is
Yes.
that something that
No.
he put
No.
on?
He had an accent because of his nationality.
Okay.
He was an American citizen, but I think his parents were German to begin with. He's also in Casablanca. I mean, a lot
He's
of
all
war
through the
films.
old
He is
movies,
another
yeah.
one of those actors. If you'll
I
IMDb his page, you will be surprised at what you have seen him
mhm,
in. He is really associated with the horror genre for
yeah.
some reason.
Was
Part of
he
it
ever Igor in
I think he was.
one of the
In one of the
Frankenstein's?
Frankenstein iterations, I think he was. Or he was a henchman in some horror flick. That's
Mhm.
why I got the yes, doctor. I
Well,
don't
he
know where that
doesn't.
came from.
And honestly, bless him. He doesn't want to be there. He really doesn't want to be there. Johnny, let's just go. Let's go, Johnny. I don't want to do this.
He's the perfect whiny baby, and he does this role
So
very
well.
very well,
So well.
very well.
All right.
In fact, Peter Lorre is one of my favorite classic actors. I
I've
love him in just about everything I've
I've
seen him in.
heard his name before. I know I've seen him in something other than this, but this will always be what I know him best for. So who is your Einstein, Daddy?
Raphael Sabarge. Raphael Sabarge is this actor that I discovered in the ABC television series Once Upon a Time. If you haven't seen that, binge it.
Recast it above Daddy, or not recast it, sorting above
Yeah,
Daddy's
sorting
Head.
above it. Yeah. Go and watch Once Upon a Time. If you're a fan of fairy tales, if you need something to escape reality,
It's the show for you.
it is the show for you. And magic comes with a price.
Save that.
So Raphael Sabarge happens to play Jiminy Cricket. But Raphael Sabarge has showed up in several other things that we've seen him in as a uh, hidden,
He's usually a villain.
sinister guy. Not sometimes an evil protagonist. I think would be a good way to
But
put it.
sometimes he's a sympathetic antagonist as well.
But exactly, but I could very easily see him being the sniveling, and I think his stature is enough of a difference with my Jonathan
Yeah, if
that
nothing else, just put Bill in lifts
in
and
right
have him in
exactly. But I
flats.
think he could play snivelly pretty well.
All
So
right,
Raphael Savage.
I too am pulling for the Once Upon a Time well, and I think I'll win this one as well. My pick is Robert Carlyle.
Ooh,
Dearie.
dearie.
Robert Carlyle
Ooh,
is the Scottish actor who played Rumpelstiltskin in Once Upon a Time. He also played, can never remember his villain name, Renard
yes,
in The World Is Not Enough, the James Bond film. He is fabulous as Rumpelstiltskin.
he is.
He is so wonderful. But as Mr. Gold and also as Rumpelstiltskin pre Dark One, he's a sniveling little coward.
He is. That's
And
true.
he is great at playing all facets of it. So the little bit where he gets also he's Scottish and he can do other accents, so he would have the accent down packed to be able to pull this off. And he is short. Like he's shorter than a few of the women on
Right.
the show.
Yeah.
So the size difference between him and Sam, my Jonathan would be there. So
I'm
I
liking your cast better than mine. I'll get you next
so
time. Oh, I'm gonna get you on Teddy.
we'll see. But yeah, Robert Carlyle is my Dr. Einstein.
I love him as an actor.
I love him.
Absolutely love him as an actor.
I've cast him before. I cast him in our Chitty Chitty Bang Bang remake
Mm,
as the toy maker, I
right,
believe.
right.
So, Robert Carlyle is one that you'll probably see off and on throughout our recast. It's just because he's one of our favorite
Yeah,
actors.
he'd final roll.
Teddy. Yeah, if you
Charge!
notice, we have our bugle. We have our bugle up here because Teddy is a character with a mental illness.
Right.
He's Mortimer and Jonathan's brother. He
Right.
is Aunt Abby and Aunt Martha's
Nephew, who they have care over.
Yes, and they have decided to commit him to Happy Dale Sanitarium.
There is a happy Dale far, far away. Can't
Um,
resist that.
He has a mental illness that causes him to believe he is
Theodore Roosevelt.
President Teddy Roosevelt. Yes.
Hence charging up San Juan Hill.
Yes, the staircase is San Juan Hill. The basement is the Panama Canal.
Right.
His bedroom is the White House, I
Yes.
think. Various places in the house are various places that have significance to Teddy. Happy Dale is Africa because he's going on a hunting trip, I guess.
Expedition.
Expedition,
Yeah,
yes.
yeah.
So Teddy, honestly, I think Teddy is as nice of a representation of mental illness as the 40s could manage.
Without doubt. I mean, they do a very, very good job of playing it up for the comedy, but not making fun of mental illness at the time.
They never say, "Look how dumb or daft or
Right.
whatever." They just be like, "Okay, this is how he is. We're gonna roll with it."
It was a great lesson for that time and age for those who had stereotypical mental illness
Mhm.
to get some sympathy,
Mhm.
but also compassion.
Mhm.
Also, here's how you actually treat people.
And again, this is as kind as the 40s could be to mental illness, but I feel like they could have also been way meaner.
Hollywood, you
about
could
it.
learn a lesson.
All right, who is your Teddy?
Do you want to build a snowman?
I'd love to, but it's spooky month.
It's spooky month. But mine is everyone's favorite snowman, Josh Gad. Josh Gad. He stole Frozen. In my opinion,
He stole Frozen
he
2
stole
even
Frozen
more.
and Frozen 2, and he is just becoming. Wasn't real crazy about him. Wasn't he in Beauty and the Beast?
Yes, he was the food.
Yeah, I wasn't as crazy about him there, and it has nothing to do with anything. It's his body style fits Teddy. His mannerisms. I think he could play the mental illness straight and put a mustache on him, and he's great. spectacles, round
Hmm.
spectacles. I think he has the
So long as he
absolute
didn't
comedic
trip up the
timing.
stairs.
Well, I suspect that the
Every-
outtakes from Arsenic and Old Lace would probably filled with that.
Oh, I imagine the actor who originally played Teddy, John Alexander, probably tripped up the stairs a time or
And
two.
he was a good Teddy Roosevelt too. I believe he also
He may have also
was
come
from
over
the
from the
stage,
stage.
right?
So
Josh Gad.
I like Josh Gad. I really do like Josh Gad. My pick is Alan Tudyk. Um, he put the mustache on him, put the spectacles on him. He may have to gain a little bit of weight
But
for
he
Teddy,
has. I
but
mean,
he
yeah,
has in
he has in
recent
recent
years.
years.
So, yeah, I think he could do it. I know he can pull off the comedy. See our tutelage of Tudyk to see what all he's been in. Um, and he's played characters like Teddy before, so I have zero doubt he'd be able to pull off the mental illness very
And
well
we love this guy as
without
an
it
actor.
being without it being a
Yeah,
stereotype.
yeah.
So I think Alan Tudyk would do quite well.
I like your cast better than mine.
It's not a contest. This is just a fun little thought experiment, right? Isn't that what you always say?
Yes. Thought experiment. I'm not thoughtful enough.
Well, to be fair, you did steal mine. I had to get more creative.
That is true. She did allow me some allowances in my list. However, she came up with some better allowances. Next time. Hey, Arsenic and Old Lace. Again, you need to go and watch this film,
We did our best not to
especially
spoil.
sometime this October, if not on Halloween, sometime. Watch this film. It is one you can watch with the kids, although there's a couple of little scary moments. But with like all
Would
films,
say no.
screen it before you let your kids watch it.
Absolutely.
Yeah, good film. We love it. We love Cary Grant. Just about everything we've seen him in, absolutely adore that actor.
Spooky month is just beginning. Next video, we have another recast it.
What are we doing?
We're doing Clue.
Oh my goodness!
Lovely
I've gotta-
murder mystery movie Clue with probably one of the most iconic 80s casts
Yeah,
there possibly is. Great ensemble, so come back in 2 weeks for
I gotta get
that
a better
video.
Clue. We hope you've enjoyed this recasted of Arsenic and Old Lace. We love doing this, and we love that you get the opportunity or that you decide to join us on Thursdays. Come on back. We got a ton of stuff that you can watch. Make sure that you do all the things.
Like, comment, subscribe, ring that notification bell so that you are aware every time we upload.
And don't forget, there is a happy Dale
Far,
far,
far
far
away.
away. That was originally in a hymn book somewhere.
I know, that's why they use it.
That's
It's one of
right.
their
It's one of their
hymns.
hymns.
Until next time, I'm Kristen,
I'm Randy.
and we'll see you in 2 weeks with Clue.